Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Restart Podcast and a new episode this week. I'm your host, Sabrina Neely. And y'all, today we're going to talk about 10 ways to get back to you. 10 ways to get back to being your authentic, true self. And I know if you're anything like me, you have all of these great goals and dreams for the new year in January. And by the time you get to right now in the year, the middle of the year, it can feel like all of those dreams have somehow vanished into thin air. And so I want to spend the next few minutes just giving you a few tips to really get back to what you promised yourself 6, 7, 8 months ago. And if you have fallen off track, if you do feel behind, if you do feel like you've lost your mojo, just please know that you're not alone. And all it takes is a little clarity to really bring you back to what's important again. So number one, the first thing I want you to do is to prioritize yourself. And the best way that I have found to make yourself a priority is in every situation, ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this benefiting me and my future? Is this person good for my mental health? Is this job going to lead me to the income that's going to give me the lifestyle that I truly want? Is this current way of living really what makes me happy? If you go into every circumstance with that mentality and those questions, is this person good for me? Is this relationship the best one that I can be in? Am I operating at my highest self? Is this job serving me? Are these people in my life affecting me or am I affecting them? If you go into your day with that way of thinking, I promise you're going to rediscover yourself and your true core of your being. What are your needs? What are your wants? Not your children's, not your spouses, not your partners, not your bosses, not your parents, not your friends. What are your needs and your desires for yourself? And if you don't know what they are, then you need to spend some time journaling. Write those things out one by one. This time next year, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be living? In the next 5 years, what do I want to have accomplished in my life? And if you've never done a writing exercise like that, it is one of the best ways to really uncover mental blocks. You know, why you might feel stuck in your life, why you can't seem to break out of a funk, why you're not making more money in your life, why you're just unhappy and miserable. So the first thing, prioritize yourself. Number 2, develop a routine with daily habits and a schedule. I know that you've heard that before, but it is so important to have a written plan of your day, whether you write that down in your notes section of your phone or in a journal or a planner somewhere. You have to be able to see what needs to get done in order to be successful. And I know there are people that are like, well, I can remember it all in my head. You know, I just have everything up here in my mind. And maybe you do. And maybe that'll work for you. But for the average person, it needs to be pen to paper and you need to stick to it. If you say, all right, starting tomorrow, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., but the alarm goes off and before you know it, it's 5:30 and then it's 6. And then that day trickles into the next day and the next day. If you don't have it written down that you're actually going to wake up at 5 a.m., that intention might be there in your head, but more than likely, you're not going to follow through with that. If you say, well, I'm going to start walking after work, but it's not written out somewhere where your eyes can visually see that, more times than not, you're actually not going to do that. So develop a routine. I can't stand here and tell you what routine that is. You have to sit down and actually decide that for yourself. What is going to work best for your life and where you are in your current stage and season of life? If you're an empty nester, You're going to have a totally different daily schedule than somebody who's a new mom and has small kids to get up and out the door to school, or if you are somebody that works night shift, you're going to have a totally different set of daily habits than somebody who's up and ready to go out the door at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. So sit down, develop a daily schedule, write it out, pen to paper, and then put it on the wall or the mirror where you can see it every day. You got to be able to look at it. So if that's in your phone, then great. If you're somebody that's on your phone constantly and without a doubt that you're going to check your notes section and look at that every day, then fine, do that. But it's got to be written out. Number 3. We have had a whole episode here on the Restart podcast on sleep. In fact, I've done a couple episodes about the importance of sleep. But my 3rd tip is to consider sleep as your BFF, your bestie. You guys, you got to prioritize sleep. If you're young listening to this, sleep may not be a factor for you. You may say, I can sleep 10 hours without a problem. Well, guess what? It will not always be that way. As you enter into midlife and beyond, hormones are going to wreak havoc on your sleep. And you say, not me, I'm a great sleeper. Okay, wait and see. That's what I will tell you. Wait and see. Or you might be a fine sleeper through your 20s, and then in your 30s, you start having children, and those babies will disrupt your sleep. They will. So knowing that, prioritize your sleep now. It's always going to be up and down and fluctuate. And I understand, different seasons of life are going to come. And maybe when you have small kids, you won't sleep for the first 5 years, or your sleep might be fragmented, or you might go through a tragedy in your life and your sleep may be heavily disrupted for a long period of time. And that's understandable. But we got to get back to our roots and really prioritizing sleep. I believe in the 3-2-1 method. If you've never heard of that, 3 hours before sleep, no food. So for most people, they're going to cut off their dinner around 7 o'clock, because most people, I would say, go to bed between 10 and 11. 2 hours before bed, no work, no emails. I'm not checking anything to do with my job. I'm not answering any messages from coworkers, right? Or clients. And then 1 hour before bed, no screens. And for me personally, that's the hardest thing, because I want to be on my phone right up until the minute that I fall asleep. So I have had to train myself to literally come off my phone. I'll put it across the room. I will start reading a book instead, but you want to really prioritize sleep, because you cannot operate at your best without making sleep and rest a priority. Number 4, you need to move every day in some way, shape, or fashion, whether that be walking, getting into running, lifting weights, taking a dance class, doing yoga, having some sort of mobility or stretching practice, aqua aerobics now that it's summer, but you have got to move every single day. Our bodies were meant to move. And if you have a job that is sedentary, it is even twice as important that you intentionally put it on your calendar. And this goes back to developing that daily schedule, putting it on your calendar to move. It doesn't have to be a long time, but it needs to be a time, right? 10-minute walk after lunch, another 10-minute walk after dinner, a little 5-minute stretching routine in the morning, something to get it in. And believe me, no matter how busy you are, you can find the time and the motivation to move your body every day. You don't have to be out here being a bodybuilder. You don't have to do what Joe Schmo does on Instagram, but you got to find what works for you and move a minimum of 30 minutes a day every day. If that means you got to get up from your desk and take a walk down to the water cooler or a walk outside to catch your breath and reset, then so be it. Do that. Next tip, you have got to consider mindful, intentional work, meaning meditation, a breathing practice, tapping, which is where you take the tips of your fingers and tap different points on your body to enhance those neurons and brain pathways, yoga, journaling, something to calm your mind. One of the reasons I believe that we are so angry as a society, as a world, is because people are not taking the time to be at peace. We are constantly on our phones, looking at somebody's drama, watching somebody's life, watching a TV show that might be a trigger, trying to pry into what somebody posted on social media, trying to follow this person and that person. It's just constant stimulation all the time. And so that keeps your brain in an active, stimulated state all day. You need to intentionally take a moment, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes. There are a million meditation apps now that you can download and do this. And you need to do it every day. The time of day, I don't know. What works for you? Are you going to be the best meditator when you wake up in the morning after coffee? I know that I am. Or are you going to be the best meditator at night before you go to sleep and lay your head on the pillow? Are you going to go to your car during your work break at lunch and meditate for 5 minutes while sitting in the car and close your eyes and just take a moment? You know, we don't have to be looking at our phones 24/7. Maybe when you take that walk the next time, you don't have your AirPods in and you just listen to nature and you just watch the birds and just be in awe at what God has created, right? Take some time for your mind. All right. We are on tip number 7. Your spiritual life also has to come into play. Attending church, being with a